On behalf of the English-Speaking Union, we welcome you to the 30th edition of this public speaking competition. I am Deepak Montroy. I am the Vice President, one of the Vice Presidents, in fact, of the English-Speaking Union, and I'll be the MC for the day. Today marks our 30th competition. However, last year, we, the English-Speaking Union, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of the English-Speaking Union. What happened is that during the COVID, we missed one edition. This is why this year we are celebrating the 30th edition of the public speaking competition. Dear finalists, today one of you will mark our public speaking competition history by having his or her name written alongside the 29 previous winners of the public speaking competition. And also, that's the biggest part, having the opportunity to represent ESU Mauritius in London during the International Public Speaking Competition. Without much ado, I would like to invite Mr. Kevin Pater, the President of the English-Speaking Union, for his address. Mr. Pater.
On behalf of the ESU family in Mauritius, I'm proud and delighted to welcome you to the 30th edition of our public speaking competition as highlighted by my friend, the MC. Indeed, the English-Speaking Union was established in June 1993, and the public speaking competition is the very first activity launched in January 1994 by our founding member, late Sir Victor Glover. We were eventually able to send our first national winner to London to represent Mauritius at the International Public Speaking Competition organized by ESU headquarters. We have since never failed to participate in the International Public Speaking Competition, which is, in fact, the largest public speaking tournament worldwide, involving some 600,000 students from over more than 50 countries where ESU is established. Thank you to our three judges today for having agreed to be on the adjudicating panel. Members of the audience should be aware, again, that choosing the best from a bunch of young, talented public speakers remains a highly subjective task. I assure all of you that our judges will be assessing on the criteria already established and in total good faith. I wish our three jury members the very best in picking our national winner. Last year, as president of ESU Mauritius, I'd expressed my ardent wish to make our national flag and anthem be seen and heard at the highest level. And our national winner 2023, Suhail Tokalkan. Suhail, can you please stand up? A big round of applause for our winner for 2023. Thank you. Our national winner 2023, Suhail, did make us proud by pulling us in the top 6 spots worldwide. May our national winner 2024 serve Suhail as an inspiration to go even higher.
The President mentioned about the teamwork that we have at the English-Speaking Union. We have so many collaborators, and one of our collaborators is the British Council. And I would like to invite Mr. Chan Murray, the Acting Country Director of the British Council, to say a few words.
Today, I would like to emphasize the importance of soft skills and effective communication for young people. Technical skills are undoubtedly crucial in the fast-paced and interconnected world we live in. However, it's the soft skills that truly set individuals apart and pave the way for success. Soft skills include traits such as communication, teamwork, adaptability, and empathy. Qualifies that are invaluable both in personal and professional realms. Okay? Communication in particular is a cornerstone of success, the ability to articulate ideas clearly, listen actively, and engage with others effectively. Can open doors to endless opportunities. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it. So let today be a celebration of the spoken word as we acknowledge the impact it can have on shaping our future. May you continue to hone your communication skills and strive for excellence in all your endeavors.
I would like to call upon the Public Affairs Officer of the U.S. Embassy, Jonathan Culler, to say a few words before we begin with your finals.
It is an immense pleasure to join you for the finals of the 2024 public speaking competition. First and foremost, allow me to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the 9 finalists. Your journey to this final stage is a testament to your dedication, your hard work, and your exceptional public speaking skills. Today, we look forward to being further inspired by you and by your words, which I'm confident will make our task as jurors exceptionally challenging. Like you, I am a fervent believer in the power of words and the transformational potential of effective leadership. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself exemplified how a great leader could indeed change the world in an instant. He delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech at Washington, D.C.'s National Mall in August 1963 to over 250,000 people who had gathered to hear his vision for racial equality and justice. Dr. King defined leadership as a commitment to serve and the ability to inspire and empower others. And this vision of servant leadership remains a beacon of hope and encapsulates today's theme perfectly. In closing, I wish to express my deep appreciation to the rectors, the teachers, and trainers who have guided our finalists to this point. Your unwavering support and dedication have been instrumental in their journey. And to the members of the audience, I encourage you to reflect on how our finalists' words today have the power to inspire, to challenge, and to provoke thought. Finally, to the finalists, I know you're probably evaluating my speech mentally, right? But I want you to know and to remember that you're not just speaking to us, you're also leading. And I hope that you can inspire those around you to believe in the capacity for change. So good luck to each of you.
So before we start with the competition, let me introduce once again our judges. We have Dr. Rajendra Kolapu Bangari, Vice President of the English-Speaking Union, Mrs. Roshni Rajkumar, representative of the British Council and the British High Commission, and we also have Mr. Jonathan Culler, the Public Affairs Officer of the Embassy of the United States of America. So we have 9 participants present here. They have been numbered according to a draw effected before the session, before some of you came here. As number 1 here, we are going to have Johan Jean-Benoit Villemont from St. Mary's College. Participant 2, Kiran Singh Siraj from Royal College, QPIP. Participant 3, Pari Verma, Le Bocage International School. Number 4, Bhavya Sharma Rampotab, Collège du Saint-Esprit. Number 5, Isha Denpat from Sudnak State Secondary School. Number 6, Jelena Aisley Ramphel from Loreto College, QPIP. Number 7, Gurja Sadvi Fugwa from Gaëtan Renal State College. Number 8, Jean-Rudy Perrine from Montlubin College, Rodrigues. And number 9, Lavesh Kumar Bikari from MGI, Mahatma Gandhi Institute. So all the participants, you already know about the rules and regulations, but still let me repeat a few things. So you will be given a number, you have your number. This is the order that you're going to intervene. There is a bell that I'm going to use. You have 5 minutes for the speech. I hope that this is audible enough. This is the place you're going to come for the speech, okay? So I'm going to ring the bell at the beginning of your speech. So this is an indication that you start. I'm going to do so again at 4 minutes 30 seconds. That's the minimum that you have to reach. Then once more at 5 minutes, and once again at 5 minutes 30. That would be the last bell. So you will have to wrap up whatever you're doing. I hope that nobody reaches that stage. I shall introduce your name, your college, and announce the title of the speech. Then you start. All speeches should be related to the theme. You already have the theme. A great leader may change the world in an instant. since you're not using any microphone, remember that you will be speaking, I won't say for the audience, it's for the audience as well, but you will be judged by these people here. So your voice should reach at least these 3 people. This is very important. If your voice doesn't reach their ears, the marks will be penalized. This session, the final, also includes question time. And questions come from the jury panel, from myself, from members of the audience. You have to be very careful that, for example, we have here our first participant from St. Mary's College. People from his school cannot ask a question. Not the teacher, not the students. So whoever is going to be asking a question, you will have to say your name and from where you are, whether from school, etc. So nobody from the same school can ask, not only the same school, even the parents of the same student, because we have some parents in the audience, should ask a question to his or her ward. Okay, so question time is that when you ask a question, be as brief as possible. My aim is to have at least 2 questions per student so that they can be evaluated. This also forms part of the evaluation criteria for today. There might be times when we don't have any questions. Then, in fact, we start with the jury panel, I move on, and then the audience as well. So without much ado, let's begin with the 30th edition of the finals for the public speaking competition. I would like to call upon Johan Jean Benoit Villemont from St. Mary's College. The title of his speech, "The World is Changed by Your Example." Over to you.
This speech will be about leadership, about change. But I will not be talking about the big names of history. Here, today, I want to talk about us. Specifically, this power that we all have, shared by every single great leader in history. I'm talking about the ability to inspire those around us. Because what has every single great leader have in common? They had the guts to put themselves out there and to be the example. To stand, even if they had to stand alone. And this is what drove others towards change. I'd like to talk about something known as the bystander effect. A phenomenon where when a group of individuals is faced with a challenging task, they will choose passivity in the sight of any uncertainty. The mindset that other people will do it. This is inaction, and inaction creates nothing. This is indifference, and indifference is a crime against change. But I get it. Setting the example is hard. Making the first step towards your goal is difficult. And I am no different. How often am I the bystander? Paralyzed by fear and uncertainty, how often do we stay passive in the face of challenges? But this is where the true potential of leadership lies. The leader, in making the choice to act, possesses the ability to shatter the status quo. He has the ability to make others realize their power. They can inspire others. It is said that people will give up their power if they believe they do not have any. Russian author and philosopher Ayn Rand said that the sight of an achievement is the greatest gift a human being could offer others. I do not think the leader's action changes the world on their own. Rather, I see them as the first drop of water to fall, igniting a rippling effect across its body. Each achievement serving as beacons of inspiration, urging others to act, to embrace action, to set the example. And all of this is scary, isn't it? It's scary to think that we are all born with this power, to realize that none of us here has inaction running through our veins, but that if we choose the path of indifference, this potential might just die. Yet, I believe it is this very awareness which must propel us forward, which urges us to take action, to embrace action. Mahatma Gandhi said the beautiful quote, "In a gentle way, you can shake the world." And today I face you with a choice. Will you choose the security construed within inaction, or will you choose to go beyond yourself, beyond the doubts, the what ifs, the should have, the if onlys, and to become a great leader, to become the example, to embrace? Because being a true leader is not defined by our ability to feel no fear. Rather, it is found in our ability to confront it, to stare into the abyss, and still choose to harness the infinite potential for positive change within us. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Johan. So you have question time, so please don't leave immediately of your speech. Dr. Rajendra, it's 4 minutes, 40 seconds. So we now move on with question time. So would there be someone who is willing to ask Johan a question based on the speech that he has just delivered? Do we have someone from the audience? Okay, I have Dr. Rajendra.
Thank you, Johan, for your interesting presentation. You've talked about inspiration coming from the leaders. Could you just give us an example, a concrete way in which leaders can encourage the youth to step out of that comfort zone?
Recently, I went to a bar. Actually, the day before this competition, I went to dance at a party, and I was in front of a perfect example of leadership. It is a mundane example, but I still think it resonates with the youth. I was sitting at a table, and the music started. And this is when nobody really moved until my aunt and my uncle started to dance. And I think they were seen as leaders, because as soon as they took action, everybody joined them. And we had an amazing time. I think a leader has the ability, by stepping forward with courage and conviction, to actually make others realize that they can do it, that they can embrace action.
You have mentioned about the bystander effect in your speech. Do you believe that we, let's say we as Mauritians, not only the youngsters, but do you believe that we as Mauritians, are we the bystander in our everyday life?
It's an interesting question and an interrogation that when I was practicing in front of my parents, my mother asked me if I believed that everybody was a bystander. And I said yes, because this isn't something specific to a country or a demographic. This is something we all have within us. It's a mindset that comes with being human. When we are in a group, when we are on the streets, when we're in front of something, for example, someone who needs help, it's normal for us to believe that other people who we think are more qualified or have more ability than us, we think they will do it and not us.
And how can you as a youngster change this mindset?
By becoming a leader and embracing action, of course.
Thank you, Johan. Event number 2, we have Kiran Singh Siraj from Royal College of QPIP. And the title of his speech is The Shot of Greatness. Over to you.
You may or may not be an avid basketball fan, but picture this. You are sitting in an NBA stadium. All eyes are on Michael Jordan, the basketball superstar. He dribbles, controls, misses, and dribbles again. Finally, Michael Jordan has had enough. He stands firm on one foot and he rotates the other foot for a pivot to give his ultimate shot. And he scores. Michael Jordan just made history, igniting the team and the spectators. That in itself was exhilarating. If we take a look at the intricacies of basketball, we find that there are so many flamboyant similarities to leadership. The ability to think on the spot, to adapt to your situation, and to master your surroundings. This is seen as leadership. Dear judges, fellow players in the audience, we are all regularly exposed to situations of instant leadership. Every single day, we are spammed with instant news from our political leaders, and I'm going to add that these are not usually good news. We instantly witness instantaneous presidential elections. We instantly upvote or downvote our new instantaneous leaders. We instantly scrutinize the world's top CEOs, etc., etc., etc. But in the midst of all this, it has occurred to me that humanity might have forgotten the true meaning of leadership. A great leader is not someone who can change everything everywhere all at once. A great leader is not someone who can transform the global landscape in the blink of an eye. Otherwise, that would be feeding the world's illusion of a shot of greatness. Take Vladimir Putin, for example. He has a shot of greatness too. Vladimir Putin has a shot of greatness, and it's called a great shot of vodka. Imagine how Russia used to be such a leading scientific powerhouse, having put the first satellite into orbit in 1957. That same Russia is now a country that cannot even manufacture a watch or a toaster that anybody outside Russia would buy. This sounds incredibly sarcastic, but remember, leadership is not a purchase game. Otherwise, it would have been so easy to eradicate years of mistrust. It would have been effortless to reinvent the wheel just like that. Nelson Mandela would not have had to spend 27 years of his life in prison to fight apartheid. Wars would have ended in an instant. Populations would not have had to endure so much suffering like the indigenous, the slaves, or the Palestinians. The truth is, making a change is not linear. Change is not a destination, it is a journey. Change is a process, a marathon, not a sprint. Gridlocks cannot be broken in just one shot. And it is unfortunate that our world has known so many overconfident leaders who want to win at all cost. These leaders, they treat the globe as if it's a big jungle out there, where life is a zero-sum game. These leaders, they want to crush, conquer, casting everyone else as losers. And in general, this dehumanizes our perception of leadership. If you want a true image of leadership, remember Greta Thunberg, the one girl who, with a single piece of cardboard, managed to inspire millions around the world for the cause of climate change. This is what humanity truly needs. Humanity needs a leader who is able to connect with the crowd. Humanity needs a leader whose pivot is deeply anchored in human values. We need a leader who's confident enough to be vulnerable and vulnerable enough to be confident. A leader who creates more leaders and not just followers. And while all of this is not possible in an instant is not enough for a leader, no matter how great he may be, to cause a complete change or a revolution. But one instant is all it takes to trigger that spark inside of us and to inspire us so that in the end, we become great at everything we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran Singh. 5 minutes, 27 seconds. So now question time. Member of the jury.
Thank you, Kiran Singh. That was quite interesting. Based on the stance that you have taken, I'm thinking that in a world where we are used to instant gratification, how would you encourage youngsters who would like to take up leadership positions and convince them to still do it, even though they might not see instant results?
I would like to connect with youngsters, to inspire them to become leaders by making them realize that leadership is not like dopamine. It's not like something that you obtain on a pedestal. Leadership is not a throne. Leadership is not even the palace. Leadership is the whole kingdom. It's where we all, whether we are youngsters of the rich or youngsters of the poor, we all meet, we all lead, we all know when to lead and when to give space. And none of this is instant, but simply giving them that perspective of being able to work for it, being able to reward yourself for that leadership. This is enough to completely rule out the time factor. Because as leaders, we are used to seeing instant things such as instant social media, instant cooking, instant recipes, instant whatever, instant drama, instant everything. But it turns out to be disgusting in the end, how everything is supposed to be instant or handed out on the platter. So it is important to convey via words, via passion, that you can make youngsters become leaders. For leadership is not something that you just grasp. Leadership is earned, leadership is learned, and leadership takes time.
Thank you. Anybody else? One more question, it's not over yet. Yes, Professor Riviere.
Thank you very much for your inspiring talk about basketball. Of course, there's football, which is much more instantaneous, it seems to me. I'd like to ask you a question about the instant. I was watching Oppenheimer. The result of an instant is judged not at that instant when you press the button for the bomb to go off. It's judged by posterity. So how are we to judge the actions of a leader if not at the time, but in retrospect? Give me a few examples of that.
Thank you. A leader in themselves is a testament to a culmination of their work and their values. This is why we often tell our children stories of leaders who have done great marches, who have taken so many years of their lives to achieve a certain purpose or to make a complete change, because you cannot judge an instant at that instant. In fact, this instant is a culmination of everything that has come before it. Everything, everyone, the blood, the sweat, the tears of a population, whether it's just one person, two people, or a whole group of people, it's still a culmination. You might look at the bedazzling concept of what's instantaneous, what's gratifying, and you might think, how are we to relate this to the world? How are we to put this into context? All we have to do is take into account the culmination, the drag. For example, Mahatma Gandhi himself, he did not just start the Salt March like this. He did not just wake up one day and say, okay, today I'm going to do a Salt March. Those who want to join me, hello. No, it's a culmination of work. And as I mentioned in my speech, Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison to fight apartheid. Can you imagine? All he had to say is, I'm black, you're white, it's okay, we are equal. Go to jail, 27 years. Apartheid was not just fought like this. It might have happened in an instant with a speech, but that speech itself was written before. For example, Martin Luther King or Barack Obama. Barack Obama's own predecessor might be Martin Luther King, and Martin Luther King might have his own predecessor. It all comes with what we are taught, how we anchor ourselves within the context of society, and how we realize that leadership in itself is open to everybody. We all have it, we can all make it, and we will all make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran Singh. Thank you very much. Barry Verma from Le Bocage International School. The speech is Forgotten Change. Over to you.
Esteemed members of the jury, teachers, peers, and distinguished guests, good morning. Do you ever feel like a failure? Do you ever feel insignificant? I know I do. In a millennia, we have one or two great leaders that alter the course of history. And their greatness is derived from their historical appreciation. But the notion that leadership is a prerequisite to change is lost on me. Today, I hope not only to disprove this, but also explain why and how this myth damages not only us, but humankind itself. All throughout our lives, in school, at home, we are told to be leaders. We are told and we are told to take charge of anything and everything that we partake in. But why is that? Is every single person in this room truly a leader? Does everyone even want to be? Apparently, that is insignificant. Because this expectation is derived from the assumption that only a leader can bring about change. And we internalize this. We are told this so many times that we convince ourselves that if we do not have the proclivity for leadership, then nor do we have the power to make change. But this mindset is wrong. It makes us feel useless. It makes us feel powerless. Yes, a great leader can bring about change. I do not contest that. But who enables, nay, who encourages those leaders to make that change? Every single notable leader throughout history has had supporters or followers or allies. Take Martin Luther King Jr., for example. We've talked about him quite a bit. He incited the American civil rights movement that emancipated millions of people. But could he have done it alone? Could he have done it without those people that stood behind him? The ones that supported, uplifted, amplified his voice? We often overlook these people. So what happens to the rest of us? What happens to those people that may not have the desire to lead, but still possess the passion for change? Are we condemned to a life of insignificance? Change, my friends, does not solely rest in the hands of a chosen few. Change is a collective effort that is driven by the collective will of people that dare to dream of a better tomorrow. And it is true that leaders hold formal power. But forms of change are enacted through the everyday actions of ordinary people that are determined to reject the status quo and make a difference in their own spheres of influence. When I was a child, my mother used to visit an orphanage near my house. She would bring the children books, toys, clothing. And one day I asked my mother, "Hey Mom, we're your children. Why are you giving these kids toys when you could just give them to me and my brother?" My mother, being very patient, sat me down and she explained to me that it's because these 10 kids do not have nearly as much as me and my brother do. And this fact upset me greatly. Not because I felt any form of particular empathy, sorry, but because I was very greedy. And I didn't understand how helping just these 10 children would make any real difference. But my mother sat me down and she explained that these 10 lives represent children just like me and my brother. And these 10 lives would one day inevitably become intertwined with hundreds of other lives. That day, my mother taught me that even the smallest of change can alter lives drastically. Each one of us possesses the power to enact change, whether it be through small acts like lending a listening ear to anyone in need or even standing up against injustice. We must recognize the fact that leadership is not confined to formal roles or authority. And it's okay to feel powerless in such a fast advancing world with technology, God, flying cars now, I'm not sure, ChatGPT. And as cheesy as it may sound, a single spark can ignite 1,000 fires. Be that spark. Inspire the people around you. And trust me when I tell you, you do not have to be classified as a leader to do so. So make an effort, persevere, and as genius, philanthropist, artist, Michael Jackson once said, make a better place for you and for me. Finally, let us not forget those forgotten change makers. The unsung heroes who may not always be at the forefront, but their contributions are invaluable nonetheless. Let us stand together and join ourselves through the power of unity and reflection, and think about what we can improve. Think about what we can create through the power that we possess. And remember that greatness not only lies within the hands of a chosen few. This isn't Harry Potter, guys, there's no chosen one. But within each and every one of us, just waiting to be unleashed upon the world. You are the youth, and now it is time for you to be the change that you want to see in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pari. The time, 4 minutes, 55 seconds. Thank you. Question time now. Member of the jury.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for that speech. I'd like to know if you could elaborate a little bit about the type of change that you think is the most beneficial. What's positive change, and what does that mean to you?
Thank you for your question. I think, obviously, not all change is beneficial. We all know about the one guy with a mustache in Germany, but I think that the most beneficial forms of change, are the small ones, the small steps that we take in our everyday life. Because as some of my peers mentioned earlier, you can't just do it in one go. Change is not something that happens overnight or in one day. They're things that we must do slowly and carefully. It's just like smile at the person on the street, laugh with your friends, make your friends laugh, do your best in class, respect your teachers, just things that we are taught as children, and it's astounding that so many people forget these things. Even though they're repeated to us, we are told them over and over again. Your parents tell you, you respect your elders, do this, do that. But I think that these things that we consider to be arbitrary are the most important ones. Because they are what inspire us to be a society, like I said, that's filled with compassion and unity and just care for each other. Because the moment that we start to care about each other, we recognize that the boundaries that we have set based on race or religion or beliefs even, those are completely broken down. And the only connection that we foster within ourselves, among ourselves, is the fact that we are humans. And we are people that are trying to do our best, and we're just trying to make it through the day, at the end of the day, being happy.
Thank you. One more question. We have one question from the audience.
Hello. Congratulations on your speech. I'm Mrs. Ojeda from Collège Saint-Esprit. My question to you is, what is your opinion about the changes that have been brought about in people's lives by spiritual leaders? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. Personally, I'd like to start this off by saying that I'm extremely biased, because all throughout my life, with my upbringing and everything, I've always been told not to believe in spiritual leaders, and my parents always taught me to, learn from the teachings of Martin Luther King or Gandhi or, even Napoleon to some extent in terms of leadership. But I believe that spirituality is something very personal. It's something that comes from within, when we talk about the soul and we talk about our beliefs. And I think that the whole concept of spirituality can be boiled down to one thing, and that's thinking that you can do something and believing in yourself, which I think is the foundation of change. If you do not believe that you can enact change, and if you do not believe that you have a purpose in your life, then you will never be able to do it. So I think that one very important thing that I've learned from spirituality is, believing in yourself. That's the main thing. But in terms of spiritual leaders, I've seen some very excellent speeches from them, but I've also seen a lot of scandals, which is why I would prefer not to comment on a specific leader. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. We now continue. We have our fourth participant. We have Bhavya Sharma Ramputab from Collège du Saint-Esprit. And the title of his speech is Ruling from the Shadows. Over to you.
To have a silence that speaks 1,000 words. To take control of a crowd through one's mere presence. Perhaps those are the traits which make a great leader. The years may pass, eras might change, but humans will always be impressionable, easily enveloped in the might of one they deem greater than them. Such a formidable individual, through a mere thought, can alter the course of generations. Perhaps such is true immortality, a perpetual watermark looming over history. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges and members of the audience, greetings. My name is Bavia Rampotab from Collège du Saint-Esprit, and I shall show you today that a great leader rules from the shadows. One should wonder, what makes a great leader? At the end of my speech, you might think that I am not a sociopath, but that is a risk worth taking. A great leader does not have to be good. Actually, a perfectly good and virtuous individual is incapable of being a great leader. Most humans are similar to sheep in more than one aspect, to the point where one could compare a human to a herd animal. It is in our nature to want someone to lead us, to think for us. Critical thinking is a straining process, and it is easier to simply think what we are told to think. We are weak by nature, easily swayed by emotion, and entranced by any mystery the masses choose to follow. In the words of Nietzsche, and he who must be a creator of good and evil, truly, he must first be a destroyer and break values. The great leader is manipulative by nature. To wrap oneself in a veil of mystery is to entice others to follow. After all, what is misunderstood is not only feared, but also viewed as powerful. Queen Elizabeth I was one of the greatest sovereigns of her time. Her policies, but most importantly, her ability at cleverly deceiving others, pushed Great Britain into a new realm of power. However, it would be presumptuous to say that anyone can alter the course of a whole era in the blink of an eye, unless they have a bomb. A great leader is one who slowly anchors him or herself into the minds of others, tacitly influencing each one of their actions. In this regard, a harbinger of change is one who spreads like a virus. Author, philosopher, scientist, or sovereign all have the ability to lead the masses. Chairman Mao changed the course of communist China and created a regime about himself. He used the argument of possessing the mandate of heaven to further push himself up the ranks. Despite how objectively immoral his policies were, he is still revered as a god in mainland China, and his actions still influence global decisions to this day. Truthfully, one may not be born a leader, but one can die a leader and rule from the tomb. Marcus Aurelius had an iron grip over the Roman Empire. To this day, his Stoic ideal resonates in society as he carried centuries of legacy upon his shoulders. In this regard, what permeates from a leader are ideas. The ability to alter the way the world thinks is the ability to alter reality itself. Sure, the cases are quite versatile. The Looney Tunes made a young me think that so long as I didn't look down, I couldn't fall. To lead is a broad term, and to change the world, even more so. The enlightened ruler is, first and foremost, an influencer who molds the masses by hook or by crook. At any rate, humans are creatures capable of thinking for themselves, but few choose to do so. Such is the fallacy the great leader exploits. In the words of Han Fei-tzu, the enlightened ruler is so mysterious that he seems to dwell nowhere, so inexplicable that no one can seek him. He reposes in non-fiction above, and his ministers tremble below. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Bhavya. 5 minutes, 15 seconds. Okay, so now question time.
Hello. Thank you for your speech, very revealing. And I think you expose the facets of human beings, the essence. So, as a youth, how would you navigate both, like the soul and the ego? Because you were showing how you have both sides of the human being to navigate being your own leader.
Thank you for your question. Well, you mentioned the ego and the soul. However, I am more on the side of psychoanalysis, and I shall mention the id and the superego. It is often said that humans are moral creatures, that we navigate our lives through morality. However, one should understand that morality, in and of itself, is a very religious idea, and this is a good thing. However, the great leader needs to know how to use all the tools available to him or her. At any rate, to be a leader means to be clever. And to be clever is to be able to put on a nuanced personality, to be able to use morality, to be able to use good, or to refrain from using it according to the situation. Quoting Machiavelli, the great leader is bound to come to ruin if he is good all the time by the great number of people who are not good. Therefore, he needs to use his knowledge or refrain from using it as the situation requires. We therefore notice that it is all situational. Thank you.
One question from Jonathan.
Thank you for all your historical references. So referring to Machiavelli, do you believe it's better to be feared or to be loved?
Well, as it is written in The Prince, there are both facets to leadership, to be feared or to be loved. We can even extrapolate this to quote Shakespeare, to be feared or to be loved. That is the question, isn't it? Well, truthfully, once again, the leader is situational. He needs to learn to adapt and to be sustainable. It is not perhaps a very good thing to say whether it is good to be feared or to be loved. I think the leader should be nuanced, to be loved in certain regions and to be feared in others. After all, fear and love are among the most primitive human emotions. And emotions are the tools that the leader needs to learn to manipulate, to navigate himself, and to enforce his or her will. In this regard, to be loved or to be feared depends on the crowd and depends on your objective. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavya. You may take your seat. Thank you very much. Isha Dunpet from Sudnak State Secondary School. And the title of his speech is Unveiling the World, Transforming Potential of a Great Leader. Over to you, Isha.
Esteemed judges, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. Imagine a world where overnight the course of history changes, societies shift, economies soar, and new possibilities emerge, all at the hands of one remarkable individual. It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? Well, this captivating scenario prompts a profound question. Do great leaders truly possess the potential to transform the world? Well, let's journey back through history. The incredible feats of great leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. to Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi to President John F. Kennedy, their stories are etched into the annals of time. The impactful speech of the great Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream, played a prominent role in bringing racial equality for the African Americans. No doubt, the impact continues to be felt even today. Delving deeper, we find that even Nelson Mandela's path from prisoner to president reflects unwavering determination. He dared to change the trajectory of South Africa from apartheid to democracy. This global icon also campaigned against poverty, HIV/AIDS, and raised human rights concerns worldwide. But here, the impending question is, can a leader alone change the world in an instant? To shed light on this question, let us consider the great Mahatma Gandhi's Salt March, which appeared spontaneous, but in reality, it was the result of strategic planning and communication against the British colonial rule. Similarly, the Arab Spring also brought remarkable democratic changes in the Middle East. However, it wasn't the work of just one person acting alone. Delving deeper, we find that even the moon landing orchestrated by President John F. Kennedy captivated the world in a blink. However, the Apollo program did not suddenly pop up from the Pandora's box. It was a culmination of years of scientific advancement and international collaboration. Thus, true transformation is like a slow-burning revolution, where leaders spark the light and inspires others to join in collective action for a better world. Having recognized the revolutionary changes of these great leaders, it becomes important to question the plight of nations drowning into darkness. We certainly aren't ignorant of the divisive strategies of leaders like Vladimir Putin in Russia or the dictatorial leadership of Kim Jong-un in North Korea. These leaders have changed the world too, but not in a positive way. Scenes of chaos, agony, and human rights abuses in these countries only pass the wrong message on the global platform. Well, my dear audience, on this profound analysis, it is worth noting that great leaders plant seeds of transformation. Ordinary individuals like us nurture and sustain them. So even ordinary individuals can demonstrate extraordinary leadership. For example, the activist Malala Yousafzai, who has been fighting tirelessly for women's rights and for girls' education. On this profound note, I would like to quote the wise words of Helen Keller. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Therefore, a great leader recognizes that true strength does not lie in domination, but in unity. And that real change is a marathon, not a sprint. Hence, let's strive not only for overnight revolutions, but for enduring legacies of hope and progress. Thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you, Isha. Member of the jury, 4 minutes, 41 seconds. Question time. We have one question at the back. Mr. Balgobin.
Thank you for your inspiring speech, Isha. Simple question. What are your thoughts on women and leadership in this century?
Well, thank you for your question, sir. So we're living in a society, in a democratic society, where every citizen has an equal right to voting. And we have seen that in the coming years, women have gained potential power, whether it is in their workplace, whether in education, or in every field. And women leaders, as I've mentioned, Malala Yousafzai, but there's also this one girl, Greta Thunberg, which actually initiated a global youth-led strike against climate change, which demonstrates how even women nowadays have this freedom of expression, freedom of opinion, to voice out what positive change we want to see within the society. And unfortunately, as I've mentioned, the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, where we see that numerous women who are being tortured, raped, just to break down the morals of the Ukrainian. So this actually is a struggle, but should be campaigned against. Yes.
Thank you. One more question. We have Mrs. Rogunet here.
Hello, everyone. I'm from the English-speaking union, Mrs. Rogunet. My question is, we have been talking a lot about international leaderships Are there people, maybe public figures or people in your life, whom you consider as leaders, and maybe you like to talk about them or whether you admire them and for what reason? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, question. I'm sure all of us know about the iPhone or the Tesla. Well, I would like to talk about Steve Jobs, who introduced the iPhone in 2007, which showed how he really simplified the revolutionized technology use in simplifying interaction and enabling people to perform any task in a go. And even if we talk about Elon Musk, who showed how his visionary leadership for a better world in terms of we're living in an open AI society where artificial technology are doing most of our work today, whether we have to do our homework, whether we need certain information. So this showed how he campaigned to bring a better world within the humanity using the AI or even Tesla, which shows that nowadays people can just travel, just sitting and relaxing while the car is just driving them all around. Yes. So these are the main.
You mentioned about unwavering determination in your speech. Would you say that the leaders of the contemporary world, do they have unwavering determination?
Well, one thing which I would like to point out is that great leaders aren't born. They become great leaders by making mistakes, enduring crucible moments, and learning from them. They learn from their ups and downs. So yes, I think that leaders nowadays are hugely campaigning and initiating the collaborative effort in bringing a better world. For example, I've mentioned about Mahatma Gandhi, not in the contemporary society, but how he has inspired the individual to really mobilize the masses and to inspire international support. And this showed how even individuals nowadays are empowering others to join that collective journey to bring a better world, to really prioritize a sustainable society, to protect the planet for the future generations, to also campaign against the different educational needs, the healthcare, so that even the poor people can benefit from that. And yes.
Thank you, Isha. Jaylina Aisley Amphel from Loreto College of QBIP. And the title of the speech is The Alchemy of Instants. Over to you.
The stage is set, the curtains were drawn, and the world poised on the brink of transformation, be it the thunderous crush of the gable or the whispered hush before declaration, or the resolute click of a pen against the parchment. All herald the transformative power of leaders. With their thunderous footsteps, these great deeds as they shatter the silence of the unspoken, and the deafening and the echoing crush of change is heard. In these moments, when time itself holds its breath, awaiting the seismic change that we're able to alter the course of nations, we all feel the weight of an instant. And we feel, so this feeling, these are chemical moments. They are moments that possess magic. They possess this power, this magical power that can inspire, that can transform, that can illuminate. And the ones that are able to transmute these seemingly ordinary moments and imbue them with meaning, with purpose, with direction. No, they are not leaders. They are great leaders. And yes, it is true, we have this interminable list of these great, influential, visionary, iconic people who have left this indelible footprint on history, starting with our core, the father of our nation, Sir Sirisava Ramgoolam, going to the Gandhi of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, shifting towards the daughter of the environment, Greta Thunberg, or the queen of all media, Oprah Winfrey. All these people, well, even I ask myself, but do they drink some sort of magical concoction?
that they are able to reach such great heights? Well, let's try to understand the effect of this magic. How is it possible? What's the magic behind? See, 3 words these great leaders all have in common: challenge, opportunity, and inspire. Great leaders, they understand the power to seize opportunities. They understand the power to challenge injustice. They understand the power to inspire people to join this shared version, this pursuit of this shared vision. And when we think about it, well, I was saying we need to try to understand this magic. To be able to understand this, let's try to take like the example of, say, the pivotal moment where Mahatma Gandhi embarked on his historical Salt March. He ignited not only the flame of hope for India's independence, but he inspired Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to give his, well, inspiring and stirring "I have a dream" speech. His words would resonate with millions of his followers, amidst whom there was the first African-American president of the United States of America, Barack Obama. And now, the next thing is that these people, great names, big positions, but the big HOW question: how? How were they able to do this? What's the magic behind? The magic lies with our connection. We are people, we are sentient beings. When these great leaders, they stand, they cultivate this deep passion, this deep compassion, they stand with the empathy, they're able to cultivate this deep sense within the people. When they stand with the marginalized, when they stand with the oppressed, when they stand with the silenced, people connect with them. They are able to make people believe what they believe in. And when the people take their causes and make it their own, that is the power, that is the alchemical moment that great leaders are able to encapsulate. And so with this, well, tremendous roar of determination, great leaders and this crescendo of unwavering resolve, great leaders, they step onto the stage of destiny and they cast aside any shadows of doubt. Today, I'm going to ask you, lend me your ears. For today, I do not just stand here to tell you that some are born great, nor some have greatness thrust upon them. I stand here to tell you that each and every one of these people, they were not born into the limelight. They achieved greatness. And this is a testament to the transformative power that resides within each and every one of us. We no longer have excuses. We no longer have excuses. Tick-tock, tick-tock, listen to that clock. Your time starts now, my time starts now, our time starts now. Seize it. Seize that fleeting instant. For it is time to become great leaders.
Thank you, Jelena. 5 minutes, 32 seconds. Question time?
Thank you, Jelena, for your presentation. You've given some very good examples of leaders. You've used very elogious terms about them. Queen of something, daughter of the environment, and quite a few very good examples. But what can be the dangers of following such charismatic leaders?
Thank you for your question. So obviously, great leaders, it is that they need to suffer more than their followers. Great leaders, they are in the limelight. So great leaders, they have this responsibility, this heightened responsibility that their followers, they do encounter the same plight as their followers, but the fact that they're in the limelight, more responsibility is attributed to them. Now, they would suffer, how would they suffer more than the others is that they would need to, there are certain setbacks that they would face at a certain point. There are certain injustices that are done to them because they dared to raise their voices. Just because they dared to, they went against the status quo and they stood up
And that's why.
We have one more question from Suhail.
Hello, I'm Suhail, last year's winner. So we have heard a lot today that we can ignite a spark for change and we can be our own leaders. However, it is a fact that today teenagers are losing more and more interest in leadership. They're losing more and more interest in politics. In your opinion, what is it that must be done to encourage the youth to go out there and vote and really be more interested in leadership because they are the future? What can be done?
Okay. So yes, we are the youth, and yes, we represent the future. There's a responsibility on our shoulders, and maybe we don't realize this now. Maybe we'll realize this often in the future when the world is probably on the brink of destruction and nobody's going to realize it. That's when we're going to realize that. The fact that us as a youth, it's important to realize that leadership, taking responsibility, taking action, that's important. We need to sensitize our children. We need to be able to sensitize our children's children. If we are not aware of what is going on, or we are not aware of the changes we need to make, not only to protect problems like the famine, like climate change, or the end of the world, as people say, we need to be able to take that stance. We need to be able to be interested in this, because this is something that it impacts us directly. And I think this is something all of us can relate to. When something directly impacts us, suddenly we are very interested in it. If it didn't impact us, we would never be interested. So leadership is something we need to all take. It's something we need to hold at heart. It's something that will impact onto us, if not today, if not tomorrow, in 10 years, in 100 decades, it will impact us. We need to cater for that. We need to be interested to change the world. We need to be able to leave this impact.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gurja Sadvi Fugwa from Gaëtan Rénal State College. The title of his speech, The Flame of a Leader. Over to you.
Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr. What do all of these people have in common? Good morning, everyone. I am Sadvi, and today I am here to tell you how these leaders are forged from a different fire. Unlike warriors or emperors, these people didn't get their power from crowns or weapons. It burned bright within them, a relentless belief, a scorching conviction that a brighter world could emerge from the ashes of the old. They ignited a flame, a spark that continues to transform our world, even if that change wasn't instantaneous. Drawing examples from historical events, we recognize that great leaders have the power to trigger change and offer visions of hope. But how does this process unfold in reality? Using powerful words, they create a narrative so powerful, so compelling, that it stirs emotions and awakens minds. They have the ability to create a global movement, mobilizing millions who rise up and demand change. This, my friends, is the power of a great leader. They have the power to transform despair into hope, doubt into conviction, and apathy into action. On the other hand, history also teaches us that change can be misunderstood. People have the tendency to believe that it all occurs in the blink of an eye, when in reality, it simmers beneath the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to erupt into a blaze of transformation. Did Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech dismantle segregation overnight? No. His speech was, however,
a powerful echo of the decades-long fight for equality. It pushed people to visualize a more equal world. And this resulted in the civil rights movement gaining unstoppable momentum. These leaders are catalysts, but real change is a slow glacier which inches forward for years before its true impact. Now, are we going to say that Martin Luther King Jr. was a bad leader just because he didn't change the world instantly? No. He is a respected figure in history who lent a much-needed hand to make our world a better place. Great leaders have the power to plant seeds of change, but it takes time, perseverance, and the unwavering support of people for these seeds to blossom. The fall of the Berlin Wall, an event that seemed to happen overnight, was in reality the culmination of decades of struggle and resistance. As decades passed, people slowly chipped away at the oppressive regime until their whispers of dissent turned into roars of freedom. Unfortunately, history is also littered with examples of leaders who promised instant change only to deliver devastating consequences. Hitler's rise to power plunged the world into darkness. His promises of a glorious German utopia were a mirage, a cruel illusion that led to unimaginable suffering. Also, a drastic change doesn't always equate to a rosy future. Apartheid was abolished in 1994, yet in 2023, 1/3 of South Africa's population still lives in extreme poverty. All in all, great leaders are not ramen. Add hot water, stir for 3 minutes, and voila, world hunger is solved. We wish, but no. Great leaders only have the power to ignite potential that already exists within people they lead. They inspire, they challenge, and they offer a clear vision of a thriving world. But ultimately, change is a collective effort over time. So, let us not be passive bystanders waiting for a savior. Do not settle for a seat in the audience of history. Rise up, each one of you, and become the leader that your heart knows you can be.
Thank you, Sadhvi. Dr. Rajendra, 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Question time now. Yes, we have a question in the audience. Where is the mic? Yeah. From Madame Edouard? Yes, welcome to Mauritius. Madame Edouard is the teacher of our participant from Rodrigues.
So, Edouard Spivil-Marie-José from Rodrigues. My question is, we are living in an era where we have lots of technological devices. And do you think that media and technology is helping leaders, or is it a threat for leaders?
I believe it can be both. In some situations, media can act as a social cohesion, as a speaker for our voices, for the voices of the population, and not only of the political leader. For example, the Black Lives Matter movement. When George Floyd was mercilessly killed by the police, it is not political leaders that stood up for him. It was the people. People gathered. In the midst of COVID, I still remember how it all happened. Suddenly, we were all whisked by this tragic situation, and media gives people this power. It broadcasts inequalities and gives us an opportunity to step up when our leaders cannot. But at the same time, we all know about the destructive power of media. Media can spread false information. It can spread news that are graphic in order to mobilize people to take a certain stance, when in reality, it isn't the truth. So when media comes into question, it can take both sides. It can either be a very powerful and very beneficial tool to voice out inequalities and take stances and move
people, but at the same time, if it is not monitored properly or if people are too gullible, then it can create a lot of harm. Thank you.
One question from Madame.
Thank you for your speech. You mentioned great leaders are those who inspire, who challenge, and who struggle. In that respect, would you consider parents to be great leaders to bring about positive changes in their kids? Thank you.
Absolutely. One of the most inspirational people in my life is my mother. She's sitting right in the back, actually. And her story has taught me so many things. She has showed me how someone can come from nothing and create such a wonderful life for her children. Through my mother, I have learned that no matter what life throws at you, no matter what people throw at you, you pick it up and you throw it back at them. And with this view, I completely agree that parents are the very first example of what us children view as leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadie. Thierry from Montluber College, Rodrigues. The title of his speech, Change Your World to Change the World. Over to you.
Thank you. Dear member of the jury, audience, greetings. Today I'm going to talk about how you can start to change the world by changing your world. You know, being here today, standing in front of you, it wasn't easy. I wasn't always that extrovert person that dares to do things. I used to be that shy little boy in a corner of the room. You wouldn't even know the sound of my voice. And when I looked at others just living and experiencing, I realized that am I not just surviving instead of living my life? So I decided to change, to try, to dare to get out of the comfort zone, and it helped me to build the person I am today. I even managed to inspire others, outcasts like me, that felt unseen, and together we felt seen. Nowadays, when we think of leaders, we tend to think of Barack Obama, Mahatma Gandhi, Napoleon Bonaparte, you know, all these people, everybody knows them, and they are great leaders. But what do they have more special than you and I? Nothing. Showing you that being a leader is up to everyone. You don't need to be Superman or Superwoman. All you need is the courage and the mindset to do it. Let me take you to my small island, Rodrigues, where a single man managed to change it. This man is Serge Clair. He used to be a priest that decided to take off his alp-robe to become a politician. Because he noticed that there needed to be change, and he did not just wait around for someone to come and do it. He decided that he was going to be the change. And he did it. Nowadays, Rodrigues is not just a little dot on the map anymore. It is known worldwide. Or even Geneviève Marie-Gestel, a former student of Rodrigues, who is now the lead of the Federation of African Law Students. She was studying science in Rodrigues and then moved to a different environment and studied law, but still managed to create a change, to lead. Let's travel a bit further. In South Africa, where a young boy called Kelvindo managed to power his whole neighborhood with batteries made out of acid, soda, and metal in a tint cup. At the age of 13, yes, 13. Or even Sophie Cruz, a young girl who at the age of 5 years old gave a letter to Pope Francis to advocate for undocumented immigrants, like her parents. That day, she changed the life of so many immigrants, and she changed the life of her parents. She led them to stand up for themselves. 9/11/2001, at 8:14, when the first plane hit one of the Twin Towers. I know, we don't want to talk about that. But Osama bin Laden, he was a leader, and a notorious one. Although many of us would say that he only brought negative change to the world. But didn't he teach us that we need to be more careful? Let's take, for example, in the airports and in airplanes. There are some words that we cannot even say in the airports anymore. Like, bomb or hijacking. If I was in an airport right now, I'd literally be arrested. Something that so many people think is that to be a leader, you need to be alone. But behind every single great leader, there is someone behind the scene. And it wouldn't be a speech about leaders if I didn't share with you one of my personal favorite leaders, Steve Jobs, who managed to lead trend through generation and to change the world with his invention. It has come to the point where now 17 states are suing Apple for monopolizing the market of smartphones. I mean, how many of us have an iPhone in here? A lot. And those who don't probably want one. And whenever we hear about the newest iPhone has been released, we just want to run towards it. Great leaders could be anyone. A great leader could be seated among us right now. Who knows? And that leader can change the world. So don't be afraid to dare, to try, to take that first step. You want to be a leader? You can do it. Hey, you want to be a leader? You can do it. Great leadership is leadership that starts within and radiates outwards. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Jean-Luigi. 5 minutes, 9 seconds.
Thank you very much for bringing some fresh air from Rodrigue to us.
You're welcome.
I love the island of Rodrigue, and I love your openness, your frankness. But to be fair, a leader comes along at a certain time in history, in certain circumstances. Somebody used the word opportunity, which you have to seize. How important is the moment, that is, choosing the right moment to make your move, whether you're Serge Claire or whether you're SAJ or whether you are Barack Obama. The moment, the circumstances in history. How important?
Well, we all know examples of the moment that people decided to take the risk, decided to dare, to try. And that moment is very important, but it didn't just happen like that. You're not going to tell me that someone just did that all of a sudden. It is times of hard work, of thinking, to build up to that instant where that opportunity is in front of you, to be able to take that decision, to not just sit, but to realize that it is up for you to choose how you want your life to be. So that moment is very important, but it is something that we need to learn about. That's something that we need to prepare, so when it comes, we can seize it at the best of our abilities.
One more question. Daniel?
Thank you for your inspiring speech, and thank you, Professor Rivière, for mentioning Rodrigue, our little duo. Again, you are youth, and you've told your personal story about daring to come and talk to us and give your speech. And how would you bring about to enact in your community, like extending that moment that you dare to go out, and also help the other youth to find a leader within them?
As I've said, good leadership is leadership that starts within and radiates outwards. We are all accountable for our actions and what we do. And Everyone is capable of taking decision and to change the world. I personally, I like to think of myself as someone positive, who, if I see someone who's in need, who needs something, I'm going to try my best to raise that person, to help that person, and not just to look down on that person to try to be better. No, we are all humans at the end of the day, and we are all the same inside. Don't we all have a heart in here? So why can't we just like and accept that the person next to me can be better? This person can even be greater. It is possible. So around me, within my friends, I like to think of myself as someone who always motivates them and helps them to grow even better.
Thank you very much, Jean-Baptiste. You may take your seat. The title chosen by Lavish is The Alpha and the Omega. Over to you.
The Alpha and the Omega. The first and the last. The beginning and the end. Everything starts with a leader and ends with a leader. This is why a great leader must become both the Alpha and the Omega. Members of the jury, chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you, even if outside don't look that good. But still, it's a good morning. Now, today, we're talking about leaders. What makes a good leader? Many of you will tell me that a great leader is the epitome of courage, of bravery, of selflessness, of willpower. A person who can inspire, who can motivate, who can teach us to embrace challenges. Yet, throughout history, we have witnessed many leaders who had none of these qualities, but they were still able to amass a large number of followers. If on one side, you'll have Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Marcus Aurelius, and even Nelson Mandela, who were mentioned pretty much everywhere with everyone. Then, on the other side, you'll have Hitler, Stalin, Putin, and bin Laden. So, you must all be wondering and asking yourself that question, who are the alphas and who are the omegas? Well, everybody can become the alpha, but very few succeed at becoming the omega. An omega is that leader whose legacy is continued even after his death. Omegas are celebrated, they are praised, whereas alphas are hated and feared. Alas, the path of the omegas are neither smooth nor free from obstacles. They're the ones who face most of the challenges, even risking their own lives for the causes that they believed in. Even Jesus Christ was not spared. Imagine, God came down on earth 1,500 years ago to show us the way, the truth, and the life. What happened to him? Well, he was crucified. You see, these leaders brought positive changes into the world. But the changes were not instantaneous. Definitely not instant. Now, we do have other kind of leaders. Those who remained alphas. The Hitlers, the Stalins, the Mao Zedongs, who brought immediate changes into the world through absolute chaos. In 1939, the Nazis invaded Poland and made massive genocide of the Polish people. And how long did it take them? Only 35 days. Truly, I tell you, that's a horrifying statement. Now, we do have young leaders in our generation, One of them is Greta Thunberg, who was also mentioned previously. She brought amazing changes by speaking publicly through climate change. But now, I have to tell you, you can also be a great leader. You don't have to be Greta Thunberg. Each and every one of us have something inside of us that we can awaken and be a great leader. So don't just wait. Be the leader that makes a difference. Be the leader that can bring those little changes which can shape your everyday life. Be the drops of water that can make the ocean. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to conclude on this note. It takes courage to do good in this world. Doing the wrong thing is easy, but it's also a great act of cowardice. Good leaders are always going to take time to change the world, but the changes that they bring in, that is permanent, and they will stay for generations and generations to come. So be the Alpha and be the Omega. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Davesh. 5 minutes, 10 seconds. The last round of questions for our last candidate. Please present yourself.
I am Aisha Raja from OCC. Thank you for your speech. I have a question. If you consider yourself in the genocide going on in Palestine, who will be the Alpha and who will be the Omega?
Honestly, if we're talking about Palestine and the issues in the world, absolutely none of them are the Alpha and the Omega. You see, what is the one thing that we can say about leaders? They look after the people, right? And yet, one of them burned Gaza and a children's hospital was completely destroyed. So where in this are we looking after the people? We're not. A leader stands his ground for his people. We don't just go to war and sacrifice uselessly the life of their own people. If you were my people, I would have never wanted you to go to war for my country. No. But one thing that I would make is I would help you to solve it through the pen and not through the sword.
Thank you. We have one question. One question from our guest from Seychelles.
Thank you. My name is Jefferson Iza. I am from Seychelles. My question is, nowadays we see less boys taking leadership roles. What advice would you give to a boy to take leadership roles and become an alpha? And also, what advice you would give to the youth? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. The one advice that I would give to men to become leaders is to just face the challenges. It's the only way you can become a great leader. At the end of the day, a great leader must multitask, he must lead his people, he must be able to sacrifice himself somehow for their people. Jesus Christ sacrificed himself for his 12 apostles. He was scared of doing so. And that's one thing that I want to point out. Courage is a very undervalued trait of leaders. And bravery in itself is not being scared. You have to be scared, but do it anyway. That's what bravery is. And that's what you should do to be a great leader. And not just men can become great leaders, women can also be a great leader. So you have to do what you have to do, even if you hate it. That's it.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much.
So the jury has already deliberated. I would like to convey the apologies of Mr. Jonathan Koller, who had to leave, but he has already done his job with our two members of the jury. Let me call upon Dr. Rajendra Kolapur-Bangari for a few words about your performance, not about the results, but your performance.
what we have discussed and agreed upon is that the standard was really high this time, and like every time as well. When it comes to the finals, we are really impressed by the level, by the proficiency, by the confidence that many of you have shown today, the ability to stand on your feet, the ability to respond, at a moment's notice to questions that are coming up and popping up, and from all sorts of areas. We all had questions. Some of us didn't get the occasion to ask all the questions we had. Maybe at some point it will come up again. But the important thing is that you had something that you could reflect on, and that you could prepare on, and that you could also respond to. Okay, so what we have really appreciated is this ability from you to be able to, concisely and precisely talk for about 5 minutes on a very challenging topic. So we've really appreciated that, and we congratulate all of you who've done this. So here, obviously, what has struck us is this ability to think beyond the academic. Of course, we know that when it comes to leadership, we have all great heroes and great leaders. And we've appreciated those small touches where some of you have integrated local leaders or mentioned, references from your own lives, like your parents, for example, who are, I would say, agents for change, potential agents for change as well. And the key takeaway of this, when we listen to you, is that you are reflecting on your own future, you're reflecting on what leadership means to you, and you're trying to apply it to your own life. So without much ado, I would like to congratulate all of you again for this wonderful and inspiring performance. You've really done your schools proud, and we thank your teachers and whoever has been involved in preparing you as well. I wish you all the very best for your studies and other endeavors. And please encourage your peers at school to participate in such events as well. Thank you so much.
This is in no specific order, except for the first two ones. Okay? So let me call upon Gorja Sadvi Fugwa from Gaetan Renal State College. Pari Verma, Le Bocage International School. Jelena Aisley Ramphul, Loreto College, Cupid. Lavesh Kumar Bikari, MGI. Jean-Rudy Perrine, Mont-Lubin College, Rodrigues. Isha Danpat, Sadnak State College. Johan Villemont, St. Mary's College. So we've already covered 7 participants. We are left with 2. One will be the winner, and one will be the runner-up. So for these last 2 prizes, I would like to call upon Mr. Chandram Gulam. There are some prizes from being offered by the Privacy Guard Trust Fund as well here. Please stand here. So, as runner-up, your role as runner-up will be if ever the winner cannot make it to London. That's where you stand good. It's a very bad spot to be in, I agree, but that's how it is. So our runner-up of this year's edition, Bhavya Sharma Rampotab, Collège du Saint-Esprit. I think there's no surprise left about the winner. So, our 30th winner, our 30th public speaking speaker of ESU. Let me call upon Kiran Singh Suraj of Royal College, Kirpip. Congratulations. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please resume a seat. The public speaking competition was first launched by late Sir Victor Glover, the founder of ESU and our former patron, to offer a platform to youth students to engage in an exchange of ideas and opinions and to enhance their public skills, your public speaking skills, and critical thinking skills. Sir Victor Glover passed away in 2020. Since then, as a tribute to the great visionary he was, English-Speaking Union offers a trophy that you can see here, the Sir Victor Glover Memorial Trophy to the winning school, not for you, it's for the school. Okay, this is a souvenir cup, not a challenge cup. Therefore, last year's trophy won by RCC does not need to be returned. So the school is getting another trophy, in fact. But rest assured, there's one for you as well. You will be communicated on that afterwards. Can I call a representative from RCC, your teacher or your rector who is present? Madame is present. And to offer this trophy to Madame, the teacher of our student, the winner, may I call on His Excellency, Eddie Boissison, accompanied by Professor Serge Rivière. Yes. So congratulations to Royal College, Kirpip.
The preparation to come until this point was quite tough. There was a lot to do, and I need to be grateful to my teachers and to my school in general for supporting me, to my parents, to everyone else. I am really honored to be here today to come in the second position. It is something to be proud of, and I can only hope that the school too will be proud. Also, I congratulate all of the fellow competitors and the winner from RCC, who is now my good friend too. I'm very proud of him and of everyone who's here, and I hope that we'll keep moving on forward and that any future endeavors will be a success. Thank you.
Public speaking is something that's been in my heart for quite a long time. I always loved expressing myself, and my message to the youth is to practice like you never win and present like you never lose. I feel amazed and I'm incredibly grateful that I have been able to bring the trophy back to my school. I owe my thanks to my teacher, Mrs. Ganesh, Suhel Tokalkan, who served as an inspiration for me, and of course, my family. Love you all. Thank you so much.
I'm very happy because it's the second consecutive year that we are winning this prestigious trophy. It's a trophy by an old royalist who has been the founder of ESU, so Victor Glover. So it's going to be again back home. But I like that expression that my students use. It's back to back. So last year we won the ESU, this year, and I hope that Kiran Suraz is going to be our pride now on the international platform for ESU, and he'll be among the toppers.